Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful today. You were not created to live stuck, stagnant, or in survival mode. You were created to thrive. And if you're feeling stuck in your life right now, in your business, in your relationships, in your finances, in your purpose, I've got good news. You can get unstuck starting today. But here's the catch: you can't just want it. You've got to shift your thinking, shift your beliefs, and shift your actions. And that's exactly what I'm going to help you do. The reason most people stay stuck isn't because they don't work hard. It's not because they don't have talent. It's not because the opportunity isn't there. It's because they're trying to change what they do without first changing who they believe they are. Listen to me, activity follows identity. You cannot consistently act in a way that is inconsistent with the way you see yourself. You can try for a while, sure, but eventually your actions will bow to your beliefs. If you believe you're broke, unworthy, a failure, too old, too young, or not smart enough, you're going to subconsciously sabotage every opportunity that contradicts that identity. You'll say things like, "I'm just not good with money," or "I've always struggled with consistency," or "That's just not my personality." Do you see what's happening? Those words are not just statements, they are declarations. You are prophesying over your own life, reinforcing a false identity that keeps you stuck. Now let me take you to the word. Proverbs 23:7 says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." That's not just some poetic verse. That's a law. The way you see yourself in your heart, that's what you become in your life. You might be praying for a breakthrough, but you're still identifying as broken. You might be asking God to bless your business, but deep down, you still see yourself as someone who never finishes anything. That's identity dissonance, and until it's resolved, your results will reflect your old self-image, not your new vision. So, here's what I want you to understand. You don't have to feel like a champion to decide to be one. Identity isn't about emotion, it's about decision. You choose who you are going to be, you declare it by faith, and then you start aligning your behavior with that new identity even before the evidence shows up. That's called living by faith, not by sight. Let me give you an example. When I was broke, working a job I didn't like, and struggling to make ends meet, I didn't wait until I had $1 million to start thinking like a millionaire. I had to start thinking like one when I was still broke. That's when it matters. It's easy to think like a millionaire when you have money, but to think like one when you don't, that's the training ground. That's where the transformation happens. So what does this look like practically? It means when you wake up in the morning, you don't say, "I hope today goes well." You say, "I am a solution maker. I am favored. I create value everywhere I go." You speak life over yourself. You renew your mind daily. You feed your faith and starve your fear. It means when an opportunity comes and that little voice of doubt says, "You're not qualified," you respond with, "I'm not relying on my qualifications, I'm relying on my calling." You override that old identity with truth. The truth of who God says you are, the truth of your divine potential, the truth of the seed He planted in you before you were even born. Now let me warn you, when you start changing your identity, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Your old mindset is going to fight to survive, but that's just the death of the old you. Don't panic, that's progress. Every time you act in alignment with your new identity, even when it's hard, you're reinforcing that belief until it becomes second nature. Here's the final thing I'll say. People don't rise to the level of their goals, they fall to the level of their identity. That's why personal development, mindset work, and faith alignment are not optional. They are essential. If you want to change your life, change your identity first. Begin to see yourself the way God sees you, chosen, capable, empowered, and destined for impact. Once you've shifted your identity, the activity becomes easier. You stop forcing discipline and start flowing in purpose. You stop chasing results and start attracting them, because now you're no longer hustling from your past, you're operating from your future. Most people are not stuck because they don't have potential. They're not stuck because they're lazy or lack talent. They're stuck because they're unclear. Let me say it again so it gets in your spirit. You're not slow because you're incapable. You're slow because you're unclear. And clarity always comes before acceleration. Think about this. If you were in a car on the highway and suddenly the fog rolled in and you couldn't see more than 5 feet in front of you, what would you do? You'd slow down, right? Not because your car is broken, not because the engine is weak, but because visibility is low. The same thing happens in life. If your vision is blurry, your progress will be cautious, hesitant, and slow. And here's the deeper issue. A lot of people are praying for speed, asking God for momentum, begging for breakthrough, but they don't have clarity about where they're even going. God doesn't accelerate confusion. Why would He bless movement in a direction that's undefined? Let me take you to Scripture. Habakkuk 2:2 says, "Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it." Did you catch that? Write the vision, make it plain so you can run. Clarity leads to speed. Vision fuels velocity. You don't get to run with power until you know where you're going, and not just know, make it plain. Vague dreams produce vague results. Specific vision leads to specific outcomes. Too many people have goals that sound like this: I want to be successful. I want to make more money. I want to live a better life. That's not vision. That's wishful thinking. Let me ask you something. What does success look like to you? How much money do you want to make, and by when? What kind of life do you want to create? Who do you want to become in the next 12 months? Until you can answer those questions clearly, you're not ready for acceleration. Clarity does two powerful things. First, it gives you focus. When you know what matters, you stop wasting time on what doesn't. You stop chasing distractions disguised as opportunities. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel. You stop waking up wondering what to do, because now every action is tied to a specific target. And when you focus like that, your energy becomes explosive. You get more done in a day than most people do in a week because you're not wandering, you're walking with direction. Second, clarity gives you confidence. Doubt thrives in confusion, but when your mind is clear, your faith gets stronger. You start saying things like, "This is what I'm building, this is where I'm going, this is who I serve, this is what I offer." You stop second guessing yourself. You stop asking permission. You stop apologizing for your purpose, because you know what God called you to do. You know what problem you're solving. You know what lane is yours, and you're going to dominate in it. You see, when you get clear on your assignment, you start attracting alignment. People show up to support you, not because you're lucky, but because clarity attracts resources. Clarity draws the right mentors, the right clients, the right collaborators. Confusion repels help, but clarity is magnetic. So if you're stuck, if you're spinning your wheels, if you're busy but not productive, if you're overwhelmed, I'm telling you, it's time to pause and get clear. Not just on what you're doing, but why you're doing it. Why does this matter to you? What is the ultimate outcome you're after? What legacy are you building? What problem are you solving for people? You've got to dig deep, write it out, pray it through, and define it sharply. Because once you're clear, now you can run. Now you can build systems, not just hustle. Now you can create offers that resonate. Now you can say no to good ideas and yes to great ones. Now you can stop chasing everything and focus on one thing until it works. And when that clarity is backed by conviction, now you're dangerous. So stop asking for more speed and start asking for more clarity, because once you see it clearly, you'll move like you've never moved before. You won't need more motivation, the vision will pull you forward, and the moment that happens, acceleration becomes inevitable. You don't need more time, you need a sharper target. You don't need a new strategy, not yet. You need a new lens, because clarity is not optional, it's the foundation of your breakthrough. One of the biggest traps people fall into is waiting for motivation. They say things like, "I'll do it when I feel like it," or "I'm just not in the right mindset today," or "Once I get inspired, then I'll take action." Let me tell you the truth, if you keep waiting on motivation, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. Motivation is inconsistent, unreliable, and fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind, and if your destiny depends on whether or not you feel motivated, then your success is at the mercy of your emotions. You've got to grow past that. You don't need motivation, you need momentum. See, motivation is a spark, but momentum is a system. Motivation might get you started once in a while, but momentum keeps you moving every day, even when you don't feel like it. And the secret to building momentum is simple. Start where you are with what you have and keep going, especially when it's boring, uncomfortable, or inconvenient. People think success is about intensity. It's not. It's about consistency. Anybody can get fired up for a day or two. Anybody can have a burst of passion after watching an inspirational video, but can you still move forward when the excitement wears off? Can you still show up when no one's clapping, when the feedback is low, and when the results are slow? Momentum is built in the quiet, in the discipline, in the daily grind. It's built when you choose obedience over emotion. Because sometimes your flesh will want to quit. Your feelings will say not today. But that's where the gap is, and if you push through that space, that's where breakthrough begins. Let me take you to the Word for a second. In Galatians 6:9 it says, "And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." That verse isn't about hype, it's about consistency. It's about doing the right things day in, day out, trusting that even if you don't see the harvest today, the seed is still working underground. Don't stop watering your seed just because you don't see fruit yet. Now, hear me clearly. Momentum doesn't require massive action, it requires repeated action. Some of you are waiting for the perfect moment to make a bold move, but let me tell you something. The perfect moment is a myth. You create momentum through motion. You don't get clarity before you move, you get clarity as you move. Think about this. It's a whole lot easier to steer a moving car than one that's parked. When you're parked, even the best GPS can't help you. But once you start driving, even slowly, you can course. Correct? You can adjust and you can accelerate. The hardest part is getting out of park. That's where most people lose the battle. They don't fail in motion, they fail in hesitation. So what do? You build habits that don't rely on how you feel. You create systems that support your purpose. You stop chasing hype and start leaning into discipline. You make a decision. I'm going to work my vision whether I feel like it or not. I'm going to post the content. I'm going to send the emails. I'm going to study the Word. I'm going to follow through on what I said I would do because I'm not ruled by feelings. I'm ruled by faith and discipline. And here's what's beautiful. Once you start moving, your emotions will catch up. You'll begin to feel motivated after the action, not before. Progress is a powerful drug. And when you see yourself keeping promises to yourself, when you see traction in your business or growth in your character, your confidence rises and your passion grows. But none of that happens until you move. So stop praying for a wave of motivation to hit you and start becoming the kind of person who creates their own wave. Stop saying, "I don't feel like it," and start saying, "It's already decided." Because once your decisions stop being dictated by your mood and start being anchored in your mission, you become unstoppable. And that's where momentum takes over. Suddenly, the same things that used to feel hard become your new normal. The daily grind becomes a rhythm, your output increases, your energy increases, and so do your results. You don't need another pep talk. You don't need to feel ready. You need to move one step, one task. One action today, and then tomorrow, and the next day, until momentum starts working for you instead of you working for it. And when that happens, motivation becomes irrelevant because now you're powered by purpose. And purpose doesn't stop. Let's go. Most people don't get what they want out of life because they never learn how to communicate their value in a way that compels others to say yes. They work hard, they grind, they sacrifice, and yet they stay overlooked, underpaid, and undervalued not because they lack value, but because they haven't learned how to package and present that value in a way the world can receive. You've got gifts, you've got talents, you've got ideas that could solve real problems, but here's the truth. Value that's invisible is value that doesn't pay. If people don't understand what you do, how you do it, and how it helps them, they're not going to buy in. And that's not just about money, that's in every area of life. Relationships, business, ministry, influence, purpose. If you can't present what you offer in a way that connects with other people's needs, desires, and dreams, you will struggle to make the impact you were born to make. That's why I teach you've got to learn to make irresistible offers, not just in business but in life, because everything in life is an offer. You're either making one, accepting one, or ignoring one. Your time is an offer, your energy is an offer, your ideas, your creativity, your service, your love, these are all offers. The question is, are your offers irresistible? Let's break this down. An irresistible offer is one that makes the person hearing it say, I'd be crazy to say no to that. It speaks to a pain point, a desire, a need, and then it presents your solution in a way that feels like the answer they've been waiting for. In business, that could be a product or a service. In life, that could be your presence, your leadership, your collaboration, or your love. The mistake most people make is focusing too much on what they want and not enough on what the other person needs. You say, I want to sell this course, or I want them to date me, or I want people to support my vision. That's not how this works. If you want people to buy in, you've got to speak their language, not yours. You've got to stop presenting products and start solving problems. Think about Jesus. The greatest offer ever made was the offer of salvation, and it was irresistible to the people who were hungry for transformation. Why? Because he didn't just show up talking about theology. He met needs, he healed the sick, he spoke to the pain, he forgave the broken, he offered purpose to people who were lost. His offer was not abstract, it was personal, powerful, and urgent. That's what you need to do. You've got to understand the people you're called to serve so deeply that your offer feels like it was made just for them. Whether you're pitching a client, applying for a job, launching a business, or building a relationship, the question you must answer is, what do they want most, and how can I deliver it in a way they understand, trust, and desire? Now here's the good news. You don't need to manipulate anyone. This isn't about pressure, it's about clarity. It's about positioning. When you position what you do in the right context, for the right person, with the right promise, the offer sells itself. But you have to believe in your offer first. You have to stop downplaying your worth, stop shrinking, stop acting like you're just a coach, just a speaker, just a small business owner. You are a solution to someone's pain. You are a bridge to someone's breakthrough. So here's what you need to do. First, get crystal clear on the problem you solve, not just the surface level stuff, go deeper. What are people really struggling with? What keeps them up at night? What are they afraid of, hoping for, praying for? Second, craft your offer in a way that makes the outcome obvious. Don't sell the process, sell the promise. People don't want coaching, they want clarity. They don't want a book, they want transformation. They don't want your time, they want your wisdom. Show them the result, paint the vision, help them see themselves winning, growing, healing, succeeding. Third, add urgency, not from a place of fear, but from a place of faith. Remind people that their destiny won't wait forever. Opportunity has a window, and when you know you can help someone, you owe it to them to give them a reason to act now, not someday. If you master the art of making irresistible offers in business and in life, you'll never have to chase people again. You'll attract them. Because you're not begging for attention, you're delivering transformation. You can't live a purpose-driven life without power, and you can't walk in real power without strategy. Far too many people are leaning all the way into one or the other. They either say, I'm just going to trust God and wait, or they swing the other direction and say, I don't need faith, I've got hustle. But neither approach works by itself. You need both. It's not God or strategy, it's God and strategy. That's the true partnership that unlocks destiny. Now let me be clear. God is the source, always. He is the Alpha, the Omega, the architect of your purpose, the giver of every good and perfect gift. But God is not going to do your part. He's not going to build your business for you. He's not going to write your book, run your meetings, post your content, manage your money, or deliver your offer. That's your job. And this is where many believers miss it. They confuse trusting God with doing nothing. Faith is not passive. Faith moves, faith builds, faith plants seeds and expects harvest. Hebrews 11 is not a list of people who sat around and prayed. It's a list of people who heard God and took action. Noah built, Abraham moved, Moses led, David fought. They didn't just believe in God, they partnered with him. That's how divine purpose becomes practical progress. If you want to get unstuck and move forward in life, you've got to embrace both spiritual authority and strategic activity. You need prayer and planning, you need worship and work, you need anointing and administration, because power without a plan leads to frustration and strategy without spiritual power leads to burnout. Let me break this down for you. When you partner with God, you're not just working with the creator of the universe, you're aligning with the one who already wrote your blueprint. He knows the end from the beginning. He sees the pitfalls you don't. He knows where the resources are, who's supposed to connect with you, and when your next door will open. Why would you try to figure everything out alone when you could go straight to the source? But on the other side, after you pray, after you hear, after you receive vision, you've got to pick up your tools and build something. Strategy is how you honor the vision. Planning is how you steward the promise. Systems are how you sustain the success. Even Jesus had a team, he had a process, he had a message, he had a mission. He wasn't winging it. He said, I only do what I see the Father doing. That's perfect alignment, God plus strategy. Here's what I see too often. People are spiritually full, but structurally empty. They've got faith, but no follow-through. They're anointed, but disorganized. Or they've got brilliant ideas, perfect branding, and tight schedules, but no spiritual compass, no submission, and no covering. And the result is the same, stuck. God doesn't bless confusion. He blesses order. He blesses obedience. So if you've been praying for increase, for growth, for momentum, let me ask you, have you made space for strategy? Have you written the vision? Have you clarified your assignment? Have you structured your life to support your purpose? This is what partnering with purpose and power looks like. You wake up in the morning and start your day in the spirit, not in your stress. You set goals that are aligned with your calling, not just your comfort zone. You stop asking, what's the fastest way to make money? And start asking, how can I serve people with excellence and integrity? You study. You plan, you practice, you execute, but you do it with prayer. You do it with wisdom. You do it with spiritual sensitivity and strategic clarity. That's when the supernatural kicks in. That's when doors open that you didn't knock on. That's when favor finds you. That's when you step into acceleration because you're no longer working alone. You've got heaven backing your hustle. You want to get unstuck. Stop trying to choose between faith and strategy. Bring them together. Pray like it depends on God. Plan like it depends on you. Then move in alignment, not anxiety, because when your purpose is rooted in divine calling and your actions are backed by intentional strategy, there's no limit to what God can do through you. Not just for you, but through you. That's how you rise. That's how you multiply. That's how you walk out of stuck and step into unstoppable. Let's go.